The airport was buzzing with noise, luggage wheels rolling, phones ringing, and people rushing in every direction. I stood there for a moment, watching her disappear into the crowd. Something inside me said, if I let her go now, I'll regret it forever. I took a deep breath and called out, "Hey, wait!" She turned slightly, her cream hoodie now replaced with a light jacket. The mask still covered half her face, but I could tell she was smiling. "Would you like to have dinner with me tonight?" I asked. My voice trembled a little. "Just something simple, before you go." Her eyes softened. "A quick dinner sounds nice." My heart skipped. I tried to act calm as we exchanged phone numbers. My hands were shaking so much that I almost typed her name wrong. We agreed to meet sometime between 7 and 9. As she walked away, I looked down at her number on my screen like it was something unreal, a tiny piece of magic from 30,000 feet in the sky that somehow followed me back to the ground. Back home in Hamilton, I couldn't stop pacing. Every few minutes, I checked the clock. 6:05, 6:10, finally 6:15. That's it. I couldn't wait any longer. I opened her contact and typed, "Hey, could you share the location? I'll come pick you up. My treat tonight. This day already means the world to me." Then I stared at the message for a good 20 seconds before pressing send. I wanted everything to be perfect. Not fancy, just meaningful. A night I'd remember for the rest of my life. For a moment, I even looked up luxury car rentals online. Maybe I could rent something nice, a Ferrari or a Porsche, just for one night, something worthy of her. But as I scrolled through the prices, I laughed to myself. "Yeah, right," I said out loud. "That's like half my rent." I'd worked as an accountant for years, in Dubai and Canada, even with some big multinational companies. But that didn't make me rich. What it did give me, though, was something better, appreciation for simple things. So I smiled and closed the laptop. "Forget it," I said. "She's not meeting my car. She's meeting me." I decided to take my own car, my old 2011 Nissan Juke. Not new, not flashy, but reliable. A little scratched, a little noisy, but always there when I needed it. I went to wash it anyway. It deserved a little shine for the occasion. As I cleaned the mirrors and wiped the dashboard, I caught my reflection, slightly nervous but smiling. "Relax," I whispered to myself. "It's just dinner." But deep down, I knew it wasn't just dinner. It was a chance. A once-in-a-lifetime chance to see someone I'd admired for years in a real human moment. The sun began to set, painting Hamilton's sky in shades of orange and pink. I changed into a clean shirt, combed my hair, and grabbed a small bottle of cologne I'd saved for special occasions. As I locked my door, I looked at my reflection one last time. "Okay," I said, "let's do this." The streets glowed under the streetlights as I drove, couples walking, music playing faintly from cafes, cars humming softly along the quiet roads that led toward Toronto. When I finally pulled up near her hotel, my heart started racing again. I parked the car, took a deep breath, and stepped out. This wasn't just about meeting someone special anymore. It was about being brave enough to take a chance, even if it lasted just one night. And as I walked toward the hotel doors, one thought echoed in my head. 5 hours in the sky brought us together. Maybe tonight the earth will give us one more. The lobby of the hotel smelled faintly of coffee and fresh flowers. Soft music played from hidden speakers while people in suits and tourists with cameras moved past us. I tried to look calm, but my palms were sweating. Walking up to the reception desk, I cleared my throat. "Hi," I said. "I'm here to see Miss Selena." The receptionist blinked, her expression skeptical. "Selena Gomez?" she asked slowly, as if unsure. I nodded, trying not to sound nervous. "Yes, ma'am." She gave a polite smile, but I could tell she was thinking. How does a normal guy in a black suit have an appointment with one of the world's most famous faces? Before I could say another word, the elevator doors slid open, and there she was. Selena walked into the lobby wearing black jeans and a simple top, holding a trench coat in her hand. Her hair flowed freely over her shoulders, and her natural smile was enough to stop the world for a second. She didn't need a red carpet. She had a presence that made every quiet moment feel important. For a moment, everyone around seemed to pause. Conversations softened, footsteps slowed, and even the receptionist seemed caught off guard. She saw me and smiled, that genuine, effortless smile I had imagined countless times. "Hey," she said softly, pulling down her mask. "You made it." "I did," I replied, trying to convince myself this was real. "Ready?" she asked, playful yet calm. I nodded, finally remembering to breathe. "Yeah, let's go outside." The evening air was cool and carried the faint scent of rain. My old Nissan Juke waited under a dim streetlight, freshly washed, but still proudly showing its age. She tilted her head at the car. "Nice car," she teased. "Thanks," I said, smiling. "Not fancy, but reliable." "Gets the job done." She laughed softly, and the last bit of tension melted away. I opened the passenger door for her. She slid in gracefully, her trench coat brushing the seat, and I got in, starting the engine. The car hummed to life, a little rough, almost like it too was nervous. As we drove through the glowing streets, she glanced around. "You live here?" she asked. "Yeah," I replied. "In Hamilton, actually, about an hour from Toronto. Work keeps me busy." "Oh? What do you do?" "I'm an accountant," I said, smiling at her raised eyebrows. "Worked in Dubai and Canada, sometime with multinational companies before finally settling here." "Wow," she said softly. "You've really seen the world?" "Not everywhere," I said, chuckling. "But enough to know airports are the same everywhere. Loud, crowded, and full of stories." She nodded thoughtfully. "Some people you meet for just a few hours, and they stay in your memory forever." I glanced at her. "Yeah," I said quietly. "Sometimes they do." The traffic lights turned green, and we drove past the streets of downtown Toronto, wet from an earlier rain. Lights reflected on the asphalt like liquid gold. She rolled down the window slightly, letting the cool evening air brush her face. "You know," she said with a soft smile, "this feels normal." I liked that I stole a glance at her, then focused back on the road. "Normal can be beautiful." She turned to me. "You're different," she said after a pause. I raised an eyebrow. "Different how?" "You're not trying too hard," she said simply. "You're just yourself." I smiled, gripping the wheel. "That's the only thing I know how to be." She laughed quietly, and for a few seconds the car was filled with comfortable silence. The GPS announced our destination. I pulled up outside the restaurant, glancing at her. "Here we are." She looked at the warm golden glow of the building. "It's beautiful." "Not as beautiful as my company tonight," I said before I could stop myself. Her surprised smile turned into that genuine carefree laugh, the kind that made the rest of the world fade a little. As we walked toward the restaurant doors, side by side, I realized that this night, simple, real, perfect in its own way, was already more magical than I could have imagined. The restaurant was quiet, filled with the soft hum of background music and the golden glow of candlelight. Across the table, Selena laughed at one of my silly jokes, the kind of laugh that makes time feel like it's standing still. Hours slipped away as we talked about everything and nothing at all. Sometimes we laughed so hard that the waiter smiled at us from a distance. Other times, there was silence, not awkward, but the kind of peaceful quiet that happens when two people feel completely at ease with each other. When dessert arrived, she gazed out the window at the city skyline. "It's beautiful," she said softly. Not as beautiful as this moment, I wanted to say. But some things are better felt than spoken. After dinner, we stepped outside into the cool night air. The streets of Toronto glistened from earlier rain, streetlights reflecting softly on wet pavement. I turned to her. "Can I drop you back?" She smiled, that same gentle, effortless smile from the airport. "It's okay," she said. "My car's coming." Just then, a black Mercedes G63 rolled up to the curb. Her driver stepped out and opened the back door. She turned back to me, eyes warm and kind. "Thank you for tonight," she said. "You made an ordinary evening feel special." I nodded, throat tight. "Thank you for saying yes." For a moment, we just stood there, letting the quiet settle around us. The streetlights flickered, and the night seemed to pause, as if even the world wanted to remember this moment. She waved as she got into the Mercedes G63. "Good night," she said. "Don't forget this day." I watched as the black car drove away, tail lights fading into the distance, and it felt like a dream I didn't want to wake from. When I finally slid into my old Nissan Juke, I smiled. Not because the night was over, but because it had happened. That night, I didn't just go home with memories. I went home with a story. One that would stay in my heart forever, a story of laughter, quiet moments, and the magic of simply being ourselves.